Do you know how much money there is in the world? $37 trillion. USA. This is all cash, as well as amounts on savings accounts. If we had bank deposits here, we get 215 trillion. All real estate is valued at another 217. You know, what is behind the $800 trillion? Securities traded on stock exchanges. Markets. Why is this amount so large? Let's find out. The attractiveness of the stock market lies in several key points. Firstly, it sells a unique product, valuable securities that make it possible to receive part of the profits business while avoiding most of the entrepreneurial risks and complex issues of company management. Pro. The principle of operation of the underlying securities, stocks and bonds. You can watch my explainer videos on the links in description. Secondly, the return on investment in securities are often much higher than investments in other assets. For example, putting in 2003 10,000 rubles for bank deposit at 8% per annum, you would earn 27,100 rubles. By 2015, buying a portfolio of the most popular Russian shares for the same amount would bring you 55,200 rubles. You can reasonably notice that if you look for a high profitability, then you need to invest in real estate. And partly, you will be right. In recent decades, not only Russian, but foreign real estate has grown in price more significantly than the most popular stock index, the S&P 500. And here comes the third key point in favor of investments in securities, namely, a low entry threshold compared to real estate. Judge for yourself. Purchase apartments as an investment requires a large initial capital. And still no one guarantees that it is this living space will rise in price. Whereas for the initial investment, $100 is enough for the stock market. How does this market work? Here is a certain company like. She is in production, running shoes, and wants to raise money to expand its business. To do this, it becomes a joint stock company, issues shares and lists them on the stock exchange. That is, it passes IPO procedure. When the shares of Light get on the stock exchange, they can be bought by any investor. In fact, the exchange is a store where issuers supply their goods or securities, and investors buy the ones they like. Shelf positions. There are a lot of such exchanges in the world. Therefore, each company decides on which exchange the most profitable place to place your securities. After Light has sold her shares, they become the object of sale and purchase among two categories of buyers: dealers and brokers. Dealers are big companies who buy and sell securities for their own account and earn money from it. Brokers are middlemen, which provide investors with access to trading. This means you can't log into stock exchange and buy a share of Tesla. You will have to open an account with a broker whose main income is commission from the transactions of their clients. So, Light sold all her shares on the stock exchange, but how now? Find out who bought them? This information is collected by the registrar. If our company issues other securities, then information about their owners can also be obtained. How are papers counted? From investors? After all purchases on the stock exchange are carried out electronically. Format: no one gets a stack of shares and keeps her home under the pillow. But the sale of paper must somehow get fixed. Services for accounting and storage of papers. Investors are provided by depositories, special legal faces. Their accounts contain all the data about what each client has securities. That is, the registrar maintains a register of all holders of securities for the issuer. And the depository maintains the accounts of each investor. Now imagine what a day on each exchange. There are millions of transactions. The same investor buy and sell a security multiple times per trading session, and many of these transactions are made on credit. Therefore, it is important that there is a participant market, which will check the correctness of all calculations. This is done by the clearing house. So let's see what happens when you click on the buy button in the mobile application. Broker. After this, pressing the broker sends a purchase order to the exchange, and there it will be. Hang until someone wants to sell just such a security at your price. As soon as The desires of the buyer and the seller coincide, the exchange registers. Transaction and transfers information about it to the clearing organization. The clearing company checks the sufficiency of money from the buyer and securities from the seller, after which he conducts mutual settlements and transmits this data to the depository. He fixes the transition of the right property and transfers money from the buyer to seller, and paper, from the seller to the buyer. The deal is complete. We have not considered many questions: IPO features, listing, underwriting, over-the-counter trading, etc. If these topics are for you interesting, let me know in the comments.